Coastline is a relatively small siege map shaped like a donut. And while it may be small, it's certainly no house, though it's definitely not Bank of Villa either. It's its own beast, and it wants us to know that, with cool architecture, vibrant colours, and an open middle. It's Coastline, it's godlike, and I won't let anyone say otherwise. Here's everything you need to know about this absolute map. Overlaid on screen is a layout for the 2 floors of Coastline, with the bomb sites and spawn points highlighted. Now, and I can't say this enough, this will not be useful to you unless you actively look around the map yourself to remember everything, as I cannot implant memories on how the map's layout works directly into your mind, no matter how many images I show. Take specific note of the stairs, with cool vibes and lobby stairs being important to remember if you wish to learn the layout of Coastline quickly. Coastline's callouts are quite self-explanatory. While the compass will not help with giving the known names of these positions, you can usually tell what they're called just by looking at the room itself. The callouts should also be quite easy to remember, due to there only being 2 floors. The top floor is made of wooden or bomb sites, however in holes and other key areas of the map, the floor is not soft, so take note of where you're going to play if planning to play vertically. There are also hatches located here, 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 and here. The attackers will spawn here, here, and here. To avoid getting spawn peeked, spawn main entrance as it's the safest spawn. Spawn peeks on this map are quite powerful, so take caution when leaving spawn. Don't be afraid to drain out your spawn if your opponents are playing aggressively. There are 4 bomb sites on Coastline, with hookah lounge and billiards room on the 2nd floor, penthouse and theatre on the 2nd floor once again, kitchen and service entrance on the ground floor, and blue bar and sunrise on the ground floor as well. In order from best to quote-unquote worst, here are those sites in more detail. Considered by most in matchmaking to be the best site on Coastline is hookah and billiards. Hookah is a kill box and it sucks this inside. Luckily, that goes both ways. It sucks for attackers to push, with sitting inside hookah being a surefire way to be killed from cool vibes. Billiards is a bit more open than hookah and is therefore usually pushed by attackers more often. However, the hatch makes for easier rotates and if played correctly, can be just as easy to hold as hookah. Default is located here, with other viable planting spots noted on screen. Compared to Oregon, the previous map covered in this series, Coastline in general has a lot more spots that must be reinforced or shut out. On this site, the walls that should be reinforced are Billiard's mid-facing wall, BIP's westmost hallway facing wall, these 2 walls between sites, top of cool vibes, and end of hallway. The walls that should be shut out are the eastmost facing wall between sites, Aqua's Billiards facing wall, top of cool vibes, and Sunrise's blue bar facing wall. The biggest threat to defense on hookah billiards is aquarium. Now, some may call hookah a bigger issue due to it being literally a bomb site. However, in matchmaking, many consider it much more worth it to push aquarium, simply due to the amount of space an attacker has to do things with when pushing aquarium. Attackers can also easily cut off rotations if allowed to get an angle through the double door. A defender must sit here, and in all likelihood, they'll probably die. To up their chances, destroy the hatch and have a defender sit behind a couch. 1 pick and a rotate is much more valuable than 2 picks and a death, so don't be afraid to rotate away in favour of staying alive. Waste as much time as possible, and be ready for the inevitable push. To help out with the incoming aquarium push, a post can sit in the 2 bars or office, getting someone else to create a rotate hole to allow for easier holding. When attackers are on that aquarium door, a call out to post can allow an easy C4 onto the balcony, or even onto the floor once the attackers enter. This is a known strategy however, so be expected to have to hold off some attackers pushing below to try to take you out if playing pulse. Having someone sit on a suitcase hole, or rotate there when the aqua push is called, can be a huge help and a huge hassle for the attackers. The window here looks directly onto attackers, and the hallway looks right into aqua. Of course, you can easily be sniped from the roof, so mind that. However, due to the multiple of other areas that must be pushed for a successful hookah billiards take, this is not very likely. Hookah itself is also very important, due to the fact that it's literally a bomb site. Allowing attackers to enter here can result in the end of the round, as it's incredibly easy to watch the defuse from the window and door. It's also incredibly easy to hold, as having someone sit on cool vibes with barbed wire on the bottom can pretty much completely shut down the push. You can very easily choose to watch the door, or just default, with good slicing of the pie. The window is also not a problem, as if someone's on it, the pulse roaming and bar can run out and kill them to death. With their gun. Don't waste your C4 on this player, save that for the plan of the push. In matchmaking, attackers will sometimes push penthouse in an attempt to gain map control, and hold a long angle on billiards from VIP. It's a good strategy too, as dealing with this push involves having players rotate away from their positions, and can compromise those sitting on site. To deal with this, get the suitcase player to flank, or have post flank. Really, anyone holding off site is fine to deal with this push by flanking. For defenders, a post is a no-brainer. The soft floors, the runouts, the C4 opportunities. It's a pulser's dream. Mute should also be taken with the jammer placed on the mid-facing wall, as if this is not done, that wall can be opened, spelling game over for any defenders on billiards. Castling off the aqua door and impacting the aqua wall will disallow any long angles being held from aqua. Your fourth operator should be Jaeger, not only because of the gum, but also due to there being a drone hole directly above Cool Vibes that also accepts grenades as a payment. Your fifth operator should be an anchor of some kind, like Smoke, Legion, or Maestro. They should sit on Cool Vibes. For attackers, have fun, because this side is annoying to take with a fully coordinated team, but run an IQ or Thatcher to counter Pulse below. Add a Monty to the mix, and you've not only got that Pulse sussed and sorted, but you've also got smokes for a plant on Hookah, and an operator that no one really knows how to counter really. The third, fourth, and fifth operators are not too important, so run a Thermite just in case, a Soft Breacher, and a Fragger. Can't go wrong with that. I consider the next best site to be Penthouse Theatre, though some may disagree. In general, all sites on this map are about as viable as each other, depending on the team, but in matchmaking, Penthouse Theatre is the next best site. The rooms are more open, and attackers have only one easy line of sight into sight, instead of the 3-ish that there are on Hookah Billiards. However, the line of sight on this map is very strong, and playing vertically is also incredibly powerful here. If your strong point is gun skill rather than game sense, this site will likely be favourable for you. But those who rely on game sense and back of the hand map knowledge will likely struggle more on this site. Default is located here, with other viable planning spots noted on screen. The amount of actually essential walls on this site is not too high, but the walls that should be reinforced are Penthouse's VIP facing walls, Theatre's top lobby facing walls, and this wall between the two sites. Feel free to use the last of your remaining reinforcements where you'd like to prioritize holding. Reinforcing VIP to make it safer is popular, but so is spending the rest of the walls in Theatre. Really, it's up to you what to use these last walls on. The walls that should be shot out are this wall between sites, the bottom of the bathroom wall, and the hatch, if you'd like. VIP on this site is a lot more important to hold. If a Thermite is allowed to enter here, he can open up the wall, completely opening up those holding big window to be pinched. Hold this, at least until you've killed every hard breacher. Top lobby is also an important area to hold, as attackers tend to converge in this area, either pushing from lobby, the top window, or aqua. It's a choke point, with the wall that if opened allows for an easy defuse. However, it's not typically pushed as much in ranked, and therefore isn't a high priority area. Speaking of aqua, ensure this is held. Attackers often push for control in this area a lot more, as it's surprisingly easy to push when there aren't any operators holding it. Attacker control over this area then cuts off map-wide rotations and disallows any flanks on the VIP, so attackers like to push here. Ensure defenders have control of this area instead of attackers. Kitchen control is quite useful. It allows you to watch for any plants and run out on the main window if someone's sitting on it. However, it's a double-edged sword, as attackers can also use this to shoot out any defenders from below. This is a commonly ran strategy, so be on the lookout for any bucks, as they're likely to be attempting to shoot out any defenders anchoring on site. Hookah balcony is a very underrated area on this site. Running out from this balcony allows defenders to watch anyone trying to enter into Guitar's VIP, as the edge looks directly into Guitar's and VIP balcony. You're extremely likely to catch anyone joining VIP out by surprise if running out here, so use it liberally. This site is a lot more open in potential operators. Once again, Pulse is a really good pick for watching the plant once it goes down, but Valkyrie can be an extremely viable alternative to ensure good runouts on big window. Mute, Bennett, and Cade can be great picks to keep the wall shut, but their gadgets can be easily shut out from the kitchen or big window, so mind yourself of those. This site is a bit more anchor focused, so perhaps a Maestro or Rook is a good idea, but really, it's incredibly open which operators to pick. You could even try running Mira in VIP, and running out from the Hookah balcony to prevent anyone from shooting out the canister from VIP's balcony window. The operator selection on this site really is quite high. For attackers however, a soft breacher is a must. Sledge, Ash, or Buck are required, just to get that bathroom hatch open. Doesn't even matter if you push down the hatch, just having it open is enough to have the defending team worry. Throwing a drone down there can also be a good bait for a push, even if you don't use it. So, take a Buck to allow you to open the hatch and get the floor open. Then take the OTP, Thatcher and Thermite, to open up that VIP wall. Or the top lobby wall. Either one works, because having those open allows for an easy plant. Capital is also pretty strong here too, as the fireballs can do a great job of getting defenders exposed, and the smokes allow for easy plants once the main walls are open. He's not required though. As long as you have a Buck, Thermite and Thatcher, this site's yours for the taking. Kitchen service is not an amazing site, but it's not awful either. There really aren't that many ways for attackers to push. However, you're surrounded by soft walls that must be reinforced, yet only have 10, so it can be quite a challenge to set up on this site, especially in anything less than a 4 stack. Attackers usually push from the main door though, so you're likely to be fine and dandy. Default is located here, with other viable planning locations noted on screen. Kitchen service has a lot of walls that need to be reinforced. The walls that should be reinforced are here, 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 and here. The walls that should be shut out are this rotate wall, and this bathroom wall. Bar is still quite important. Bar control allows attackers to pinch defenders, cutting off rotations. Hold it how you held it before. I'm assuming you were holding it before. You shouldn't really be playing kitchen as your first sight. Bar also lets you run out on kitchen window, so make adamant use of that. Just as important, if not more important than bar, is lobby. Lobby control allows you to contest the main door looking into service, and should be held. Attackers also like to push here, so it's a good idea to watch this space for any sneaky ash rushes or door-to-door nooks. Master bedroom is also quite important. There's a hatch that allows you to get a late flank on anyone pushing lobby, just in case the person holding lobby fails their task. Big window also allows you to run out directly onto service's door, but it's a vaulting run out, so you only have one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Yeah. Anyways, attackers also enjoy playing vertically here, due to the soft wall that looks into part of sight. Now, this isn't essential to ensure that it doesn't get destroyed, as it doesn't watch into all of sight, but it's quite useful, so you might as well hold up here to absolutely ensure that does not happen. Toilet control is very useful. It's like a connector between the attacker controlled and defender controlled. It's also a great bit of cover for watching door, and having the wall here be open ensures that the main door has 3 areas to be watched from, instead of 2. Kitchen does not have many essential defense operators. Clash may be useful for wasting time on service entrance, Mirror can be useful to make for an uncertain attacker push, and Smoke can work wonders due to the thin amount of places to push from, but there aren't any flat out must-haves on this site. Perhaps the best option is to run operators based on their guns? You be the judge. Attacker operators also do not matter. Try Hibana for any surprise mirrors, a Capital because he's useful, and a Buck just in case they're going theatre. Otherwise, run what you'd like. Kitchen is a site that does not have much strategy and is kind of boring, but it's balanced, so there's that at least. Sunrise Blue Bar is not awful. However, it's still considered to be the worst site on Coastline, probably due to the fact that every other site is just that good. The windows look directly into sight, yes, but they can be run out upon, and aren't too big of a threat. Default is located here, with other viable planning areas noted on screen. The walls that should be reinforced are Blue Bar's office facing walls, Blue Bar's mid facing walls, Sunrise Bar's hallway facing walls, the hatch, and this wall. The walls that should be shut out are the rotate wall, and the bottom of mid facing wall if you're in a 5 stack. This seems super risky, right? Doing this allows the attackers an angle into sight from roof, right? Well, no. No it doesn't. In fact, this allows for the roamers to watch the site from off-site, and makes for more angles for attackers to check. It also means that if the attackers want to plant, they have to clear roamers, since they can always watch sight. Do this if in a 5 stack, since in solo queue, coordinated teams are not going to happen, and so in all likelihood, the attackers will get a hold of lobby and be able to use this angle to their advantage. Top floor control is super important here, more so than kitchen. This is due to there being a hatch, meaning that not only can attackers shoot down from above, but they can also drop down from above and go for a push. Watch this space. Top floor also leads to the billiards window and the hookah balcony, allowing defenders to get super aggressive on any attackers. Use and abuse those runouts. More important than top floor control, however, is office. Once control over office is gained, it's incredibly hard to regain, due to there only being 2 flanking routes, one making a super loud sound when open. It's also directly next to sight, with the wall that once opened enables an easy plant provided smokes are taken. Delay the taking of this area as much as possible, though prioritize your life. Box control is not essential. Remember how hookah was a kill box? This is that, but on steroids. Shoot through that wall at any attackers that enter. They can't set up a long angle, since box's wall really only looks directly onto bar. Not too useful, since that's an angle that only exposes your head. Defender operators don't matter. It is good though, as it can prevent the wall from being open for just that little bit longer. Smoke's also great here, due to how enclosed the site is. Other than that, no one's really essential here. Attack operators are important though. Have Thermite cheat on Thatcher and take a sledge instead. This lets you get the main wall, and lets you make use of the top floor control by shooting those on site. Go nuts. Your last three aren't super important for this site, so take the operators that are required through the other sites instead. In my opinion, it's best to ban operators in a way that makes it so that each match is as close to 50-50 as possible for both teams, so each round comes down to skill, and so that the match does not result in an overtime win. With defense, a pulse ban can change the game entirely. A lot of strategies here rely on pulse getting intel, so ban and pulse can make it really easy on attackers. Of course, they can then just run Valkyrie, but that's easy to deal with than pulse. I can't say there are any other definitively strong bans on defense, but if you really hate C4 players and playing vertically from below on hookah, ban Valkyrie. For offense, Capital is annoying. Really annoying. He can nullify positions for defenders completely, and with the prevalence of windows that look directly into sites, it just gets made all the more easier. Montagne is also a great ban, as he has smokes, is annoying on hookah, and is just in general annoying. And I say that as a Monty main. God, Monty's so annoying, honestly. In general though, bans aren't amazingly important here. It's a map where roaming is king, and gun-skill is queen. They're both as important as each other here, so strategy and bans isn't really the thing that will define a win on this map. Everyone's favourite, the spawn peak. Main entrances spawn peaks are quite self-explanatory. There's the main door, service door, and top lobby window. They're all really easy to deal with. This spawn is safe. Nice work, Ubisoft. Ruins is a bit more dangerous. You have luggage hall, office, aqua, sunrise, billiards, blue bar, and hookah to worry about. You're also a bit more predictable. Don't be afraid to drone out yourself here, because this, yeah, it's intimidating. Don't spawn poolside. You can be spawn peeked through hookah's window without even seeing the culprit. It's awful. You're also very predictable. Like, insanely predictable. Don't even try it, it's not worth it. Ubisoft did a bad job here. Well, this video was a bit longer than my previous one. Sorry about that. But really, that's all there is to Coastline. It's a dense map. So, go on there and invent your own strategies. And remember, I can't cover everything. I can't talk about all the tiny little annoyances, like how you can't vault over here, but can run over it if you go into the corner. I can't talk about where box should shoot out. Well, at least not in a video shorter than 30 minutes. But that's about the intermediate basics of the meta of Coastline. Stay tuned for my next map guide, coming out next week. With my timing, it's a miracle that this came out on time, but next one probably won't, so stay subscribed to stay posted on when the next video comes out, because it's in all likelihood not going to be exactly a week. Oh, also, check out my other videos, they're pretty cool, I guess. Yeah, you can do that. Go ahead, I don't care. I'm done. Some water. That's pretty good. Yeah.